Hello everyone! DeadX here, DeadX Devon Torres, and welcome to our first episode here on DeadX Wrestling of Leaderboard Wrestlers of the Week. Let me kind of explain this concept. What we're gonna do is a weekly video of pretty much my favorite matches and wrestlers that occurred throughout the week. It's going to go like pretty much the video's range is going to range from like Sunday to Saturday is what I'm going to say right now. The parameters could change depending on like how I'm not really how I'm feeling, but the parameters are going to change whether, maybe I might be too busy one day and the video is going to have to be pushed out a little bit longer. But the parameters I'm going to set for what is considered a week for me is going to be Saturday to Sunday, which is 7 days. That's a typical week. With the cutoff point being whenever on Saturday I record the video. Usually kind of later at night because I want to make sure no show happens on Saturday night that I missed. But if I do end up missing a show on like the last day when I'm recording, I will make sure to cover it on the week after that if it was really, had some really great matches on it. Anyways, to kind of get everybody to understand this concept of this, how this series works, I'm kind of going to cover this is going to be kind of like a super show. I'm going to cover 3 weeks in one video, but I'm going to go through it relatively quickly. In more videos, I'm going to take kind of a longer form to explain like cool things that happen in the matches, stuff like that. But I'm going to try to go through this as fast as possible, but this is going to probably be the longest video of the series because I'm covering all the way from the week of WrestleMania all the way till now, which has been about 3 weeks of content. Well, I think technically 4, but the episode for week 4 is going to go out, it's going to come out in the next like 2 days rather than today. But today is the first episode, pretty much I guess you could call it the pilot episode. If people enjoy this and kind of understand the concept, then I'll continue doing it going forward. I do also got to point out that this video series is something that was done and probably done a lot better by Cultaholic Wrestling. So I'm going to put a link to Cultaholic in my description below for this video. So if you want to check out Wrestlers of the Week or anything great that Cultaholic makes, please be sure to go do that. So I kind of wanted to take that format and kind of make it my own, and I hope they are okay with that. Because, I just want to do some fun. Alrighty, well, to pretty much explain the basic rules, I've already established that Sunday to Saturday is considered my week parameter. Each season will be, sorry I butchered that, each season will run from WrestleMania week to WrestleMania week. When WrestleMania week starts, that's when Wrestlers of the Week / year start. This is going to go on for I'm going to keep tallies on every wrestler throughout the entire year. So let's say Kenny Omega comes back 1 week. He's my wrestler of the week. He takes the #1 spot. He's going to keep 10 points. And then every other week that goes on throughout the year, if he gets more and more points, his total of points is going to add up over time. And then at the end of the year, when next WrestleMania week starts, I will crown the wrestler of the year. This is like a top 10. Each week is going to be like a top 10 of my 10 favorite wrestlers in the week. There's just way too much good wrestling out there. So this list and these videos are 100% just my opinion. So if you want to share your opinion with me, please be sure to tell me in the comments below if I forgot any great match throughout a week. But these are the things that I seen throughout the week that I thought were really cool and the best, the best matches and wrestlers of the week, the best performers of the week. I also got to make one more caveat and say that I'm not able to watch every single hour of wrestling that comes out throughout life. So some weeks, sometimes there might be things that I do miss. So the way this concept works is if you're #1, you're my #1 wrestler of the week, you get 10 points. If you're my #10 wrestler of the week, you get 1 point. You get it? It's like if you're 10, you get 1 point. If you're 1, you get 10 points. And then it ranges in between. So let me use our first week of Wrestlers of the Week. Week #1. I shouldn't have had a chorizo burrito. Week #1 of Wrestlers of the Week goes as follows. I'm going to go through this one kind of fast just so people can kind of understand the concept of scoring. This was WrestleMania week. This ranges from Sunday, March 22nd through April 2nd. A lot of the notable matches and events that happened throughout this show are, let me grab my script here. A lot of notable matches on this show are things like, WrestleMania happened, of course. Night 1 of WrestleMania happened specifically in this week. Night 1 is part of this week, but Night 2 is going to go on to the next week. AEW did some really cool stuff that week. New Japan Cup finals happened that week, and those are pretty much the most notable things that I took down for week 1. So let's get right into it. Number 10 position. Oh, also, Ring of Honor happened. Yes, Ring of Honor happened. That last Ring of Honor show. Super Card of Honor, I believe it was called. Super Card of Honor. That's what it was. So, to get to our number 10 position, also, it was WrestleMania week, so it was really stacked. So, there are a lot of matches, like anybody could have been Wrestler of the Week this year, but the way I'm going to try to kind of explain my rationale on who got what points. In our number 10 spot, it is Mark Briscoe of the Briscoes. Dem boys be coming in hot at Ring of Honor. Super Card of Honor? I already forget what the hell the show was called. They had an amazing match with FTR, and holy crap, that match was amazing. Everybody's already said it to death. That match is a definite match of the year contender, but WrestleMania week was so stacked with, content and concepts and great matches that I had to fit them onto the list, but I can't put them at the top just because I think bigger moments kind of outweighed it. And there was a couple matches that I say were a little bit better in terms of fast pacing and stuff like that, because I'm a big fan of fast paced wrestling. But FTR and the Briscoes are still amazing competitors. And just to move on quickly, number 9 would be Jay Briscoe. I kind of flipped a coin to decide which member of each team got more points, and Jay Briscoe just got one more point because I flipped a coin. And then number 8 and number 7 of the week will be Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood. Cash getting 3 points in the 8th position, and Dax getting 4 in the 7th position. Once again, I flipped a coin. I think everybody in this match involved was really great. So, nobody is better than the other. But in this concept of Wrestlers of the Week, when it comes to tag teams, I kind of have to pick one above the other, and it's going to lead to some weird situations. Coming in at the number 6 position, making his grand return to WWE straight from fucking AEW EVP positioning, it's the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. So Cody came in being the mystery apartment. Cody came in being the mystery opponent of Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, and it was rumored to death, and I think most people kind of expected it. But still, it was a great moment, a great shock, a great surprise, and it was a pretty good match at WrestleMania. Probably the second best match of the night, I would probably say, of night 1 of WrestleMania. And we'll get to the first best match of the night, in my opinion, later on. But in order to talk more about this match, we're going to quickly move on to number 5, who's receiving 6 points. I put Seth Rollins above Cody Rhodes. So let me explain this. Cody Rhodes did win the match, and Cody Rhodes did have a really big, elaborate, explosive pop and entrance. But I put Seth above because in terms of the match itself at WrestleMania, I feel like Seth was the one dishing out the most cooler stuff, and Cody was kind of taking that part as like the, I guess, underdog babyface in a way of like he was taking a lot of punishment from Seth, and then he was proving that he can fight through it, come back. He hit 3 crossroads and a bionic elbow for the win. Yeah! And that was your cup of pudding. It was a really great match, and if anybody hasn't watched WrestleMania and seen that match and the match we're going to get to here in a moment, please go do so. WrestleMania Night 1 was pretty fun. Moving on to the number 4 position, receiving 7 points, it was the final of the New Japan Cup. It is Tetsuya Naito. Tetsuya Naito, oh, he's tranquilo, baby. Tetsuya Naito pretty much was going through this, his typical swaggy stuff. This is a very technical, heavy match, and in the end goings of the match, there was a lot of very high-hitting, fast-going, high-hitting spots going into the finish, such as, him going for Destino. Zack Sabre Jr. is working over his knee a lot in this match. That's who his opponent was. If I didn't already say it, I apologize. He was wrestling the technical wizard, the dickhead. Zack Sabre Jr. I'm sorry, he's not a dickhead. I'm a dickhead. Don't come at me, Zack. I don't want my arm broken in 5 different places. But to move on quickly, let's go on to the number 3 position. It's Zack Sabre Jr., the winner of that match and the winner of the New Japan Cup. Zack Sabre Jr. beat Tetsuya Naito, calling him a dickhead the entire time and trying to rip his knee out of his goddamn socket, dethroning Tetsuya. And it was a great match, and it kind of flew under the radar because it was kind of during the WrestleMania week, and during WrestleMania week, people only talk about WrestleMania, but it was a really great technical match, and I recommend anybody check it out. For example, if you're a fan of that FTR versus the Briscoes match, I think you should go check out Zack Sabre Jr. versus Tetsuya Naito, because, hey, it's exploding charisma versus technical mastery. You know, it leads to some fun results. Dickhead. Moving on to number 3, receiving 9 points are our women, who main evented. No, they didn't main event. They damn well should have. Who main evented, I'm going to say in my mind, they main evented the damn show. WrestleMania Night 1, it's Becky Lynch. And then, spoilers for the number 1 position, is Bianca Belair. Let's just move straight on to the number 1 position quickly, to Bianca, so that we can get this through quickly. But when we're talking about Becky and Bianca, they were in the same match, so let's just talk about the match in general. That match was just super cool. They did a lot of fun stuff. You know, Becky going for disarmor, Bianca powering her up, whipping her with the hair, I believe, at one point. You know, the finishing sequence of her flipping, doing the moonsault into the KOD seamlessly. Becky being very aggressive and slamming Bianca on the stairs. It was all really great stuff, and I think it was worthy of being WrestleMania main event. And those 2 ladies, they stole the show on night 1. I think they stole the show for both nights, because I think a lot of the matches on night 2 were very anticlimactic, but we'll get to those come week 2. Here, right over here, or over here, depending on how I'm framed right now, well, you will see the updated leaderboard for week 1, with Bianca Belair sitting there in the number 1 position, and everybody else going down as follows: Becky, Zack, Tetsuya Naito, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Dax Harwood, Cash, and the Briscoes follow after that. The leaderboard's going to get more confusing as time goes on, because, you know, more points and people are going to shift and go up and go down, and so on. With that being said, we're going to move right on to week 2. All right, so we enter week 2 now of the leaderboard of Wrestlers of the Week, and just letting everybody know, I keep looking that direction because I'm looking at my results and stuff like that. Just keep that in mind, please. There was a lot of great stuff that happened during week 2. WrestleMania Night 2, there was a New Japan show. There was AEW Dynamite, as well as AEW Rampage. And I tell you, we're going to get to AEW Rampage. Starting with our number 10 position, it's Adam Cole, baby. So Adam Cole had a really good match against Christian Cage during this week, and I thought it was really great. But Christian is an honorable mention. Here on the video, because I had to squeeze somebody in the top 10 position, and I feel like Adam Cole, he's just so entertaining. I mean, he's Adam Cole, baby. And I just felt like he kind of deserved it a little bit more just because of his charisma. Him and Christian did have a really good match on Dynamite. Moving on to the number 9 position, it's your boy, Sami Zayn. Another honorable mention going into this week would be Johnny Knoxville, but I don't know if Johnny Knoxville is going to have very many more wrestling matches, and I didn't want to put Johnny Knoxville on Wrestlers of the Week because, I don't know, I kind of feel like it felt kind of weird to me. And also, to kind of rationalize it a little bit more, I think if you watch that match back, it was really fun and really damn entertaining. But Sami Zayn was doing everything. He was carrying that shit. He was doing all the cool jackass stunts, all the spots, and Johnny Knoxville was getting punched and slammed a couple times. He didn't really carry the match that much. It was mostly like a stunt show on Sami Zayn, and that's why I have to give the number 9 position 2 points to Sami Zayn, just because that was the most entertaining match of night 2 of WrestleMania, and that is the only night 2 match that I'm including on this week, because this week, in my opinion, was stacked with amazing wrestling. Yeah, just talk more about night 2 of WrestleMania. Like, I think that Sami Zayn match was literally, honestly, the best match of the night. And I think the main event with Brock and Roman kind of underwhelmed. And I think a lot of the other matches weren't really like good, entertaining, fun matches. But that's just my opinion. But let's get on to AEW now, who pretty much dominate the majority of the rest of the week with number 8 and number 9. I'm just going to group them together. Number 8 is Nick Jackson. Number 9 is Matt Jackson. I flipped a coin, and that's how the Jacksons landed. They had an amazing match with number 6 and number 5 coming up soon with FTR doing their normal Young Buck shtick, with the super kicks, with the awesome moves. And this was a really good encounter with FTR, and it was a more grounded match, I would say, that had a lot more original and unique stuff in it rather than their first meeting back in, I believe, Full Gear 2020 was they're paying homage to tag team wrestling in a whole, like doing other tag team finishers from different eras, like, doing the 3D and stuff like that, for example. But when we move on to number 6 and number 5, the match with Cash and Dax this time against the Young Bucks was very much more grounded. My apologies. And it was just a lot of fun. I recommend anybody go check it out. We move on to number 4 this week with 7 points. It's your boy. He's back again. It's Zack Sabre Jr. It's a ticket. It's Zack Sabre Jr. Zack Sabre Jr. had an amazing match against Kazuchika Okada. God damn, that match was just fucking amazing. Kazuchika Okada retained. Going in our number 3 spot, it is your boy, the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada. It was just a great match. Just go watch it. I mean, there's not much I could say. It's a New Japan match that has a lot of technical wrestling, a lot of fucking fast-paced stuff. It's really good. God, I want to see Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. Oh, it makes me drool. All right, and moving into our number 2 position from AEW Rampage, I believe the show was, it's Jon Moxley. So Jon Moxley had an amazing match on Rampage with Wheeler Yuta. And that match was a goddamn star-making performance out of Wheeler Yuta. I mean, this match wasn't the greatest match. If I had to talk about it in terms of just pure work rate, I think probably the Kazuchika Okada and Zack Sabre Jr. match probably should rank above this. But in terms of the moment, in terms of the storytelling of this match, it just brought it to the top of the week for me. I was watching this match and just, holy crap, I was mind blown by the star making of that Jon Moxley made a star by beating the living crap and bloodying Wheeler Yuta. And that's who our number 1 wrestler of the week is this week, is Wheeler Yuta. Man, this kid showed so much grit, so much determination. He kicked out of 2 paradigm shifts, I believe. And he had to get choked out without even tapping out, passing out with pools of blood. He was bleeding like Eddie Guerrero in whatever match that was. You guys know what I'm talking about. He was bleeding buckets. And God, Wheeler Yuta was showing that intensity, and the crowd were exploding behind him, and those extreme kickouts of like, how the hell is this kid going? This cool moment of him joining the Blackpool Combat Club, as they are come to be known. And holy crap, it was just a star-making performance, and I have no regrets putting Wheeler Yuta as my number 1 wrestler of the week. So let's take a look at the new leaderboard after week number 2. You can see there has been a couple of changes due to them, having a good match last week. Due to them having a good match on week 1 and also having a great match on week 2. They have claimed 13 points and both tied and risen up the ranks, taking the kind of tied number 1/2 position. Dax and Cash, it's FTR up at number 1. Bianca Belair is sitting there. I don't know what's that I put it on, but I'm just going to assume this one. Hopefully that doesn't screw me later and I don't look like an idiot. But Bianca Belair stays at like 3rd-ish place with 10 points, along there with Wheeler Yuta. A couple people tied for 9, Zack Sabre Jr., Moxley, and Becky Lynch. You got Okada, the Briscoes, Seth Rollins. The Jacksons are in there, Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn. Following at the bottom with 1 point, it's Tetsuya Naito and Adam Cole, baby. But hey, that takes us in a very long form into week number 3. let's get on to week number 3. So week number 3 was I would say, was another really good week of wrestling. It was pretty stacked. I think AEW this week especially had a lot of really freaking great matches on, on AEW and on Rampage. And then they also had Battle of the Belts. New Japan had Windy City Riot. NXT 2.0 had a pretty good gauntlet match that was a really good star-making performance out of the Creed brothers. Sadly, they're just an honorable mention today because there was just so much great wrestling this week. Also, I do got to give a shout out to The Miz and Cody Rhodes on Monday Night Raw. Raw isn't really going to show up on this list very often until they have like a really good match, or if it's a slow week, I guess. But Cody and The Miz did have a pretty decent match on Raw. And I believe that was the week that Cody had his nice little promo. No, actually, that was the week before. Ignore that. Other notable honorable mentions for this week are going to be Powerhouse Hobbs, Keith Lee, Swerve Strickland, and like I said, the Creed brothers. I just couldn't fit them on the list. I think that Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks, Lee and Swerve match on, I believe, Rampage. It could have been on Dynamite. I'm sorry. It's hard. I mix them up sometimes. But it was just a freaking fantastic match. Ricky Starks getting the win in his hometown after being so emotional. I think Ricky Starks, he is going to be on the list in the number 10 position, so let's just get right into it. I gave Ricky Starks 1 point because it was a cool moment that he got a win in a really good match with, he got the win in a really good match in his hometown. Crowd was behind him. They popped when he won. I think Swerve and Keith Lee should have won, with them being like the newer, more popular stars. But in terms of AEW, seems to do the exact opposite of WWE in regards that WWE, whenever you're in your hometown, they make you lose or they bury you in your hometown. AEW does the complete opposite, and that is one of Tony Khan's the best things that he does, because why would you not want to make more money by pushing somebody in their own hometown? But I wanted to give Ricky Starks the bow because I feel like for him there was more stakes in that match, and I had to pick somebody to represent that match because holy crap, it was such a great match. Sticking with AEW and going to Rampage, number 9 with 2 points this week is the AEW World Champion. It's Hangman Adam Page. Adam Page and Adam Cole had a really good street fight, Texas death match, whatever you want to call it. It was pretty much like a last man standing match on Rampage during this week. And, they had a really good, brawl throughout the crowd, throughout, using cool weapons, cool ideas, the barbed wire around the fist, and then he put it on his crown, and it was kind of like references to Good Sunday and Jesus, which maybe wasn't really a great move in terms of a publicity standpoint, but I think people do blow things out of context. I don't think they necessarily meant it as any form of slander on religion or anything like that. But I think it was a cool visual nonetheless. And, him doing the dead eye through the table to put Adam Cole away was really good. Number 8 is Adam Cole Bebe from the exact same match. He hits 1 point above Adam Page because Adam Cole just took the worst beating in this match. Adam Page didn't win the match, but I was just more impressed with the shit that Adam Cole was doing. He also did that classic spot that he did back in during one of the takeovers against Aleister Black, where they put the chairs, 2 open steel chairs, but didn't put them so that the seats were touching each other. They put them so that the backrests were aligned, so that it was like a point. And then he did a Dead Valley Driver on the point. Ouch, that hurts. I know that hurts. Ouch. And just because of the ass beating he took, I give it to Adam Cole. And just his shit talk and him being such a great heel, he gets 1 more point for me this week. Going to AEW Dynamite, the number 7 position is Penta Oscuro. So, Penta Oscuro, or Pento L0M, or, Penta Zero Miedo, he has a lot of names. Penta and CM Punk had a really great match on Dynamite. The only squam with the match, I believe, is there was one, I think kind of botched Hurricane Rana, but then also Punk sold it as if it was supposed to happen. So when he came down on his knee, so maybe it was purposeful, because after that, I think Penta worked the knee a little bit. But this match also had just a terrific finish. Let's get into number 6 is CM Punk this week. This match was just really freaking great. And I think any other week, this match would probably take one of the toppest positions on the week. on the rankings, but there was just so much other great matches that happened this week that Penta and CM Punk have to sit at this position, and that was just such a cool finish that Penta springboarded off the ropes and Punk caught him in the GTS. That was just amazing. That like, holy crap, Punk caught him in midair. That takes a lot of leg strength to do, and Punk got the win and put Penta Oscuro to sleep, and there you have that. Number 5 comes Samoa Joe, the new Ring of Honor television champion. He had a match on Dynamite against Minoru Suzuki, and holy shit, this match was just like 5 minutes, 6 minutes of... Shit, this match might have been like 10 minutes long of just them chopping the hell out of each other for like 5 minutes straight, and then just a bunch of forearms and kicks and punches for like the other 5 minutes. And then a muscle buster, and then 1, 2, 3. It was just an amazing sight to behold. I mean, like, there wasn't much meat on the bone, but the meat that was there was so delicious. You know what I mean? Like, it was delicious filleted chest meat that was purple, you know what I mean, from all those chops. Like, it was... God, their chests were destroyed. But I had to put Samoa Joe in the number 6 position. Like I said, any other week, this would be a number 1 just because of the spectacle of them just chopping the hell out of each other for like 5 straight minutes. But there were better things that happened in the week, and I will get to them. Number 4 this week, it's Tomohiro Ishii from New Japan. The Stone Pit Bull, baby. Tomohiro Ishii he kind of did the same thing as Samoa Joe this week and Minoru Suzuki. We'll get to Minoru Suzuki in a second, and you'll see why he places higher later on. But Tomohiro Ishii at Windy City Riot, New Japan Pro Wrestling Windy City Riot, had a match against Minoru Suzuki. Yeah, Minoru Suzuki had 2 very hard-hitting, stiff-as-hell matches in the span of like 3 days. That crazy old bastard. He had a match... Minoru Suzuki and Tomohiro Ishii just beat the shit out of each other. They did the exact same thing that Samoa Joe and Minoru Suzuki did, rather, on Dynamite, but there was a lot more meat on that bone, to use my analogy from earlier. They did a lot more moves in terms of power moves, a lot more like brawling on the outside. There's one point where they were doing like the sword fight with the steel chairs. They're beating the hell out of each other. They were being very stiff with headbutts, with chops, with forearms, and they're also doing powerful lariats and kicks and a couple of little worked-in submissions. A lot more than what Samoa Joe and Minoru Suzuki did on Dynamite, where it was mostly striking the entire time, and then we got to the Muscle Buster. So that's why I put Tomohiro Ishii above Samoa Joe this week, 1 point above. Then, sticking with New Japan, Windy City Riot, it was the main event of that show. We go on to the number 3 position. It's Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay had a match against Jon Moxley at Windy City Riot, and holy shit, the clash of styles was just fantastic. This is a match apparently that Will Ospreay has been wanting for a very long time, and it over-delivered. The match started off early with them brawling in the crowd. Ospreay does his typical corkscrew high-flying thing, and let me point out, Will Ospreay has packed on a lot of weight, like a lot of muscle, to get out of that juniors division and be recognized as a proper heavyweight in the divisions. And holy crap, how does this dude so goddamn big, but he could still move that fast and still do all the crazy shit he does? What? Will Ospreay, hitting the Oz Cutter on the apron, going for Stormbreaker. Moxley reverses it into a paradigm shift. Just hard-ass lariats, all of the, pretty much all of the Jon Moxley and Will Ospreay classics, but formed into this really good match of striking, and there's just some stuff that I can't even remember right now just because of how goddamn good that match was. I'm pretty sure you can find it online. Go watch it. That brings us to number 2. It's Jon Moxley, but we already talked about that. Jon Moxley gets 9 points this week for winning that match against Will Ospreay, and just for how fantastic it was. Like, damn. Moving on to our number 1 position and my Wrestler of the Week for Week 3. And to conclude this super show pretty much, it is that crazy old bastard. It's Minoru Suzuki. I gave Minoru Suzuki the 10 points this week because he had 2 matches this week. 2 matches that were both stiff as hell, amazing, hard-hitting, and fantastic. against Samoa Joe and Tomohiro Ishii. I said the Ishii match with Ishii. Sorry, I'm getting all tongue-tied. I said the match with Ishii was a little bit better than the match with Samoa Joe, but that still cannot, nothing cannot be said about how he got the shit beat out of him. Him and Samoa Joe beat the shit out of each other and hamburgered each other's chests. And then, like, 2 days later, he did the exact same thing with Tomohiro Ishii. And, like, holy crap, it's a no-brainer. That crazy old bastard is my wrestler of the week, and he gets the 10 points. Let's take a look at our leaderboard thus far, taking the number 1 spot away from Dax and Cash earlier in this episode. I'm sorry, guys, I didn't hold the top title for too long, but I'm sure you guys will get up there soon, especially next week when we get into a match against each other. Cash and Dax versus each other. That match should be goddamn fantastic. But taking the number 1 spot with 18 points, it's Jon Moxley. Below them at pretty much joint number 2 position with 13 points, it's Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood. Bianca Belair, Minoru Suzuki, and Wheeler Yuta are up there with 10 points. Zack Sabre Jr. and Becky Lynch with 9. Okada and Ospreay, fittingly, are tied at 8 points. Going down to number 11, you see Tomohiro Ishii. Right under him is Samoa Joe and Jay Briscoe with 6 points. In the tied, like, number 12/13 position. CM Punk and Mark Briscoe share a spot. Adam Cole, Seth Rollins, Matt Jackson, and Penta Oscuro stick behind down there. And there's the rest of them going all the way down to Tetsuya Naito and Ricky Starks stuck down there with 1 point. But I'm pretty sure both men have the ability to get higher up there in the table. And nobody's counted out yet. We have a whole year of this left to go. Hey, if you enjoyed this concept and you guys want to see more wrestlers of the week, I'm going to continue to do it because I think this is really fun. I know I kind of stumbled a lot in this video, and I'm going to have to edit a lot of it out, to be honest. But I hope everybody enjoyed. And if you did enjoy, please feel free to tell me if there's any matches that I missed throughout those 3 weeks initially. And tell me, what I missed. Tell me what I need to go watch. If I need to amend any of this. You can reach me on my Twitter account at DTX720. You can also just comment on this video below and tell me your opinions on everything that we talked about here today. There's going to be a lot of great content coming out throughout the next week. It's going to take a little while for me to record a lot of it and get it all edited out and put out there. But I hope you guys enjoyed this first video on the channel. Stay tuned, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.